महोदय, हमारा संकल्प है गरीब का कल्याण.
Now, this is going to be a big federal issue because states are already under severe financial strain. And they're going to say that this additional burden is going to be a huge stress on their finances. Well, look, this government has been changing names of lots of schemes, which I don't need to go into because the Congress spokespersons are constantly talking about it, how often they've changed names. It's kind of old wine in new bottle. Truly, if India is growing that fast, then the MGNREGA allocation need not be cut because after all, it is only 0.3% of the GDP.
Hello and welcome. I'm Srinivasan. This is Talking Sense With Srini. A controversy erupts in Parliament after Modi government replaces 2-decade-old MGNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, with BBG Ramji, Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar Ajivika Mission Gramin. Government officials in the Modi government say this well aligns with the Modi government's Viksit Bharat 2047 goal, while the opposition has slammed the Bharatiya Janata Party for what it calls as dishonouring the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi. Joining us to decode this further is our editor-in-chief, Srinivasan. Thank you very much indeed, sir. And, I'd like to begin with you. Under the new G-Ram G bill, the centre proposes to fund only about 60% for the states in the new wage bill, leaving the states to bear the rest, in addition to the existing costs. How do you see this impacting, when it comes to the fiscal pressures faced by the states of India?
Yeah, right. Before that, I think let's first get the name right because it's quite mouthful. So the earlier one was MGNREA, MGNREGA. So Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And the new one is VBG Ramji Bill, Vikasit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Gramin within brackets. So basically, it's a rural employment guarantee scheme. That's what launched in 2005 by the UPA government. It's now existed for nearly 20 years now. It had a name change in 2009 where Mahatma Gandhi was added to that. The name was added. And now, after 20 years, they have decided not just to change the name and the new name which has been given G Ramji.
Yeah.
They are also thinking of restructuring the whole issue. So your basic question is about basically the funding question, which is what you're raising, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the thing here is, so far it has been always a centrally funded scheme, fully funded by the center. It's a kind of a employment guarantee, which is more rights based. Basically, if you remember, Mrs. Gandhi was a chairperson of the previous UPA government.
You mean Sonia Gandhi, correct?
Sonia Gandhi.
Yeah.
So they used to give direction to the Prime Minister. That's what it was alleged earlier.
Dr. Singh, yeah.
So, but they had lots of people who were actually very interested in development. Like you have, like Jean Dreyes and others who regularly gave her provided various studies and basically right-based programs.
Mm-hmm.
One is the RTI Act, which you know. The other one is, again, making employment as a rights for the rural poor. So this program was devised. And it's not unique to India. It has been tried elsewhere in the world also. But what is unique about India is, in terms of population coverage, it's the perhaps the largest social protection program anywhere in the world now.
That's right, yeah.
And then the other thing is, it covers almost all the districts of India and covers about 50 million rural households. So it has got a huge impact. Anything to do with this and MGNREGA is a massive thing. Now, the funding so far, as I said, it was completely provided by the center. There's a very small portion coming from the state. Now, state used to give the administrative cost of that. They used to provide 1/4 of the material cost. Suppose the road has to be constructed, somebody has to give road construction material, isn't it? So those kind of things, 1/4 of that cost was being covered by the state government. And the state was also looking at other issues of, selecting the district and specifically projects, designing those schemes, all those things which state used to do. Now, what has primarily now happened is the funding has been now made into restructured into 60-40, which means the center would give 60% of funding and the 40% funding has to be raised by the states. Now, this is going to be a big federal issue because states are already under severe financial strain. And they're going to say that this additional burden is going to be a huge stress on their finances. Now, there is one estimate given by John Brittas. He's a MP from Kerala. According to him, 2,500 crores annually Kerala has to provide. And for other states combined, he estimates the additional cost is going to be about 50,000 crores. So where is that they're going to get this money is a big question. And that's where the slugfest has begun between the states and the center. And the states are feeling that this is a kind of an intrusion into the federal structure.
But it's also, the employment is also in the concurrent list.
Well, why they are saying it's a federal issue because you see they had the freedom to choose the development works. They had the freedom to say what work should be done and which districts. In that sense, it was more decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, why they are saying it, because the demand came from the ground. See, it was earlier, the demand was that, okay, this is a requirement. So anybody who didn't have an employment could go and ask the government, I need employment. Okay, so it was basically a kind of a rights issue and a demand. Now, what they have done is they've converted into normative.
Yeah.
So what it means is there are some norms which has been fixed by the government, central government.
You mean to say that earlier the work plans were designed by the state government, now it's going to be by the central government?
Yeah, so those plans are based on demand, not normative. Now it is normative in the sense that some norms will be fixed within which the schemes has to be framed, and if the expenditures exceed those norms, then the state will have to pay out of its pocket. So all this is being seen as intrusion in the
the idea of cooperative federalism.
And like you said, that whose responsibility is to create job. See, the job is something which is central to the kind of livelihood issue. It is linked to that. So people want to earn to live, and for that they must be provided some job.
Yeah.
So it's a collective responsibility of both state and center. In that sense, it is right. But this particular scheme, so far being created by the center as a kind of rights guarantee for employment from the center. The requirement, why the need arose for such a scheme.
Mm-hmm.
A, because to ways to find reduction of poverty, and also after we have opened up our economy since 1991, there is no safety net in terms of any protection for rural poor. Okay, so it was required that some kind of work needs to be done. So, so what are the objective of this? One is how to use surplus labor for capital formation. Now, there are a lot of unemployed people, suppose, in the villages. So, we have to use that surplus labor, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, some work has to be given to them. And that's why it was revised. Then, there are other problems like acute poverty, to reduce the poverty levels. And it also, in the rural areas, there was a sense of disguised unemployment. Because if people have no work and if the education levels are also low, they're going to be around in the villages. And if they're not gainfully employed, then we are using that manpower, losing that manpower, which otherwise could have been put to productive use. So, also low skills. There will be no skilling, but also low occupational diversification, which means not enough diversified tasks available within a village ecosystem to accommodate as many youngsters or able-bodied people as possible. Also, the issue of participation of women. See, in already labor participation of women in India is very poor. So, all these things kind of came as one shot treatment for many of these ills, which was framed in the form of MGNREGA or MNREGA. That's what it is. Now, the state governments are upset because now they feel that after all this 2 decades of work, it may now be reaching a certain stage where the center has taken to kind of reduce its importance. That's the feeling. Why? Already, if you see the allocation, now the requirement is about 1.5 lakh crores. Okay. Now, if you were to look at what was allotted in the current year's budget, 24-25, the overall allocation, which is actually a allocation which was slashed 23% of the previous year, is about 86,000 crores. Out of that, 51,520 crores have already been spent in the first 5 months of this financial year, which means very little is left for the remaining 7 months. So obviously there is a demand, there is a requirement for this.
Even those are payouts, previous payouts.
Exactly. 38% of that is the due which is paid for the last year's work.
Yeah.
So which means there is already a lot of stress, rural stress. Therefore, the state governments are feeling pretty upset over this.
The bill also raises the guaranteed employment from about 100 days to 125 days. Do you see this as a meaningful, meaningful policy change, or is it more of a cosmetic move?
Yeah, it's a good thing if you're saying we are able to provide you 125 days of work. The number has been increased. But earlier one was about 100 days. But let us look at some data. Even 100 days of employment, the many people are not availing. If we look at, say, 100 days guarantee, how much work they actually got. There are some numbers here. In the year 21-22, on an average, 50 days of work was given to workers. 100 days, only 8% people got 100 days of work. In 22-23, the number is 47 days. 47 days of work with on an average people got, but 100 days are only 5%. 23-24, 52 days the average work people got. Those who wanted to work, and only about 7.50 who got 100%. So again, 24-25, 42 average days of work the workers got. Those who participated in it, 100 days was completed only 3.5%. Imagine. Existing 100% itself, people are not able to complete. So to say that 125 is available is like, whether they have the capacity to do that. You see, so there are lots of other questions. So certainly, MNREGA, this plan, they could have had a look at it and they could have, addressed some of these issues. These are important issues that even optimization of the current plan ensure that more and more people who are demanding are able to get so many days of work. They have not been able to do it. Like I said yesterday, there are a lot of dues which states are expecting to be paid by the center.
Yeah.
So when these questions are still wide open, extending 125 days doesn't mean much.
Okay, as we talk about this, 125 days extension, there's also a stop work clause for about 60 days during peak agricultural seasons. So how do non-agri workers get affected because of this?
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds fine. On paper, it sounds fine because this employment guarantee scheme is designed when people don't have employment. So it is expected that during agriculture season, whether it is sowing season or harvest, farmers would all be busy and they would need a lot of workers in their fields. So they'll all be employed. What's the point of continuing this scheme at that point of time when there won't be any work? So in that sense, it is logical. In fact, even when the UPA government was there, this question was raised by Sharad Pawar. He said, it need not be all 365 days. But later the government decided to continue with this. But then, like the important question you raised, what about those who are working outside agriculture and still are seeking jobs? Whether they will get employment, and that's a good question. Now, if you have to look at another data which is related to this, how useful MNREGA work. So this study is done for the first 10 years, first decade, now the second decade. You know, people reported very useful. There is another category called useful. If you include that, it becomes nearly 80%. I'm only going through the very useful category in a survey.
Okay.
So, horticulture, 30% of employment. They said that, workers said very useful. They can get employment in the sector. Afforestation, another 34%. Waterworks, 38%. They said very useful. Roads, 52%. Land development on private lands, about 63%. So these are very useful, which means these are the areas. So, for instance, some of these, road or land development, is not related to that agriculture thing. The question is whether they will be diverted to that agriculture or whether there are not enough workers there. Those are the question. I think really this also relates to migration. Now, what is happening is that a lot of farm workers are not available in some states. They migrate from other states. For instance, Punjab used to get a lot of workers from Bihar. Now, Tamil Nadu, you know that they get workers, even labor, farm labor, they're getting from north. They are coming and working during that season and going back. But if there are some, work which are created, even during agriculture season, say within Bihar, and if there are surplus labor, won't they like to stay back and do that work rather than coming all the way? So basically, workers will get more choice. So the 60 days, in that sense, perhaps restricts their choice.
There's also a huge controversy that blew up with the renaming of MGNREGA. The government is on a renaming spree right now, and the latest is the MGNREGA, which was actually called NREGA at some point. Mahatma Gandhi got included, and it turned out to be MGNREGA. Now it's called G Ramji, as you were talking. So, do you think there's a hidden agenda for the government to push it as G Ramji, bring the Ram into it?
Well, look, this government has been changing names of lots of schemes, which I don't need to go into because the Congress spokespersons are constantly talking about it, how often they've changed names. So old programs have, it's kind of old wine in new bottle, or some of this also redone, some of these programs. Yeah, you're right. In 2005, it was launched. Then the Mahatma Gandhi was added in 2009. Then now they have changed it to G Ramji. In fact, there is a little thing before the announcement of G Ramji. A day before, the news was that it is going to be Pujya Bapu.
Yeah.
That was the name. So many people wonder, what is this? Instead of Mahatma Gandhi, it is Pujya Bapu. Now, Bapu is also a name by which Gandhi is known. But then what happened was there was a storm of protest which came from West Bengal because Mamata Banerjee said, since the name acronym, the title that Mahatma was given by Rabindranath Tagore, who actually, the famous poet from, well-known poet from
West Bengal,
and also the author of India's national anthem.
Yeah.
So she said it's an affront to West Bengal and it's being deliberately done by the state. This is the second affront, this and that. So I think that could have weighed on the mind of the government whether we should revisit this. In fact, they haven't officially announced that name. The other question could be some people mixed it with various, infamous sadhus. There's like, for instance, Asaram Bapu, who was actually jailed and later. So these kind of unsavory things also came up, perhaps. Perhaps the government had a rethought and then tried to then make it G Ramji more, safe in that sense.
Yeah.
And they could always use it as a tool against opposition, saying that, look, you guys are against Ram. But then this controversy is going to be there for a while because it has now become Gandhi, whether Gandhi's name is disliked by this regime. That's the narrative which opposition is building. They are saying that we know since independence that RSS, its affiliate, and the earlier Hindu Mahasabha and other right-wing political forces in India, right from the beginning, hated Mahatma Gandhi. And this is the hatred which is now being very openly coming out. On the other side, they are saying, like, you guys hate Ram. and Ram is the.
But Ram and Gandhi are inseparable, is what that's also common.
Yeah, so they are trying to build a counter narrative, saying that even Mahatma Gandhi used to say that ultimately we should aim for Ram Rajya. That's the way they are using it. So these are various narrative being built. But I think this is there is another angle to this. This in North, Jairamji is a very famous. It's a kind of a it's a well-known expression.
Yeah.
Jairamji. That's how people greet each other, or whenever they go, they will sign off with that. Now, this fits very well in the northern belt.
Mm.
So, so instead of MGNREGA,
Ramji.
Yeah, so but the same may not be true for other parts of India, especially southern parts, which they are not accustomed to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think BJP is trying to build its own narrative, and I don't think they are bothered about this. This controversy, because they have been seeing this and they've been constantly doing it.
I mean, one last question there. So the unemployment rate has fallen by 4%. It's the lowest since April this year, and India remains the fastest growing major economy in the world with over 8.2% growth the last quarter.
Mm-hmm.
In that context, the proposed expansion of G suggests a contradiction between what the government claims and what the ground realities are.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question. So if you know the latest GDP numbers,
mm-hmm.
and that has been challenged by many economists,
mm-hmm.
Especially they are saying that look,
some statistical flaw in there.
Yeah, that is
some talk about the deflator.
Yeah, so they are not completely agreeing. See, in fact, there is one economist who went that far to say that the actual growth won't be more than 4.5%, 4.5%, not more than that. So he is straight away lopping off 2.5%, 3% of GDP. Yeah. So that still remains. Mm-hmm. The other issue is, look, compare per capita income. Look at that instead of looking at the growth in GDP. GDP is bound to grow because we are we are the largest populated nation in the world now. Mm-hmm. So that will have an impact on GDP. So those arguments continue. So but the real question is that by doing this, is the government managed to bring down unemployment? Now, what you just now quoted a number saying the unemployment rate has come down.
Yeah.
Now, again, that is a bit questionable, because if that was right, unemployment was down and people are fully and gainfully employed, then there should have been a statistical correlation with other areas. Yeah. Basically, the production should have been much higher, manufacturing and other areas. You could have seen, concurrent improvement in other sectors, which we are not seeing. So what is happening is the sum of the parts is not adding up. That's the main issue here. And look, if truly if India is growing that fast, then the MGNREGA allocation need not be cut. Because after all, it is only 0.3% of the GDP. And the benefit it is giving, they are saying, is it's giving employment to nearly 50 million households. So there's a larger payoff to this. So why rethink over this? So I think there are a lot of questions on the numbers.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Insightful talking to you.
Thank you.